So we're just going to jump right in here and take a very, very quick look at Amazing Spider-Man 2's combat system. At least the basics.
You're not so scary in person.
So from outward appearances you might be thinking, hey, this looks a lot like Batman. And in some respects it is. You know, you point a direction you want to fling your fists and you press counter to counter. Those are the basics. But there are specific things that make use of Spidey's agility. For example, you just saw me dodge simultaneous attacks, and the higher your combo meter goes, the bigger chance you have of actually stunning your enemies. And stunned enemies can be defeated quickly using signature moves. You can also yank enemies to you with L1 or yank yourself toward them with R1, but that's not even necessary during this challenge, so you're not going to see too much of it.
Wave 2.
The biggest difference in this version of Spider-Man's combat is that you have to deal with projectiles from, you know, guns, bullets flying at you. When Spidey's Spider Sense lights up white, that means bullets are coming your direction, and you need to drop everything to roll out of the way, because bullets tear through Spider-Man really, really, really quickly. As you just saw, it's possible to web up enemies to stop them from hurting you momentarily. The web doesn't last forever, but its effectiveness can be upgraded, like almost all of Spider-Man's other combat abilities. You can also yank guns right out of enemies' hands, but that does not stop other enemies from picking them right back up again. I should also mention that you're seeing less than half of the enemy variety in this game. There are a lot of other abilities and a lot of other enemies, and a lot of surprisingly difficult things to deal with in the combat in this game. It's sort of a combination of using Spider-Man's agility to get into a good position and just paying attention to what's flying at you.
Why can't they all?
They actually find a lot of ways to keep the combat interesting for the whole game, and the combination of using agility both to defend and attack feels really good. It feels like you are Spider-Man. It's very well done. So I'm going to stress again that what you're seeing here is by no means the entirety of what the combat has to offer. This is just the basic stuff. It consistently gets more complex and more interesting as things go on, but this is fairly early in the game. Also, this is the challenge mode. This is not in the story mode at all. It's accessible through a little arcade cabinet.
Just how bored I am.
Right now there are enemies rushing at Spider-Man with shotguns, which shows off a little bit more of the weapon variety. If Spider-Man gets shot with a shotgun, he's pretty much done for. If you find yourself with time between combat, which is more common in the larger areas this game has to offer, and there are quite a few large areas to fight in, with a lot of obstacles and a lot of places to swing, but anyway, if you have time between combat, you can stop and heal yourself, as I'm doing right here.
They don't give you much room to breathe, do they?
So all in all, this is pretty much the most fluid combat system a Spider-Man game has ever had. Web of Shadows is pretty fluid too, but I think this beats even that, despite a lack of air combat. That's not to say that you can't do plenty of things from the air, it's just that your enemies are not in the air. But yeah, Spider-Man responds immediately as soon as you press a button, and it feels like you're capable of taking on entire armies just because of how well the game responds. The combat is only a piece of Spider-Man's overall game design, but it fits so dynamically with everything else that you'd be surprised how fluently it all flows together. I honestly feel bad that I can't show you the combat in more interesting situations in those big open areas with tons of places to swing and tons of options. But if I did that, then, well, there'd be spoilers all over the place, and we can't have that. Just trust me when I say that Beenox has reached a new level this time. The combat feels amazing, and so does everything else about how the game plays.